A lot of people come here to visit the forests and sometimes have this idea that it's untouched by man, that it's wilderness, but the reality is that people have lived in among these forests and in tune with them for such a long time.
The Emerald Edge is the largest intact coastal temperate rainforest remaining in the world. It is a 100 million acre band of living forest and ocean stretching from Washington State through Canada's coastal British Columbia to southeast Alaska. You can see the region's name reflected in the color of its 30,000 miles of coastline and 800-year-old forests. Here, the mosaic of land and water is a treasure, unlike anything else in the world. Over 35 Indigenous communities have cared for and depended on this rainforest for millennia. The Clayoquot Sound region is home to the Tlo'okweyat, Ahousaht, and Heshkwet First Nations. Simca Martin of the Tlo'okweyat First Nation is a musician, entrepreneur, and activist. She guides visitors through the waters and helps them better understand how Tlo'okweyat people relate to the environment. Her music raises awareness about the issues impacting her ancestral lands.
Mind pollution means that none of us are free to live like our ancestors, how life used to be. If you look into the picture forensically, you may be deeply disturbed internally and feel your own responsibility. The first non-native peoples that came here and settled were all about colonizing with the mentality that it's endless, that there's always going to be more, there's always going to be a next place to go. But for us, this is home. We actually kind of want to get away from the idea of just the use and the idea of resource and benefits, and more in touch with the idea of, or the reality of relationships with everything that is here. That's part of that first teaching of Isak, respect for all life.
For centuries after colonization began, First Nation people were stripped of their right to self-govern or even vote. Without First Nation stewardship, the land, wildlife, and livelihood of local communities was endangered. Simca's father, Joe Martin, an elder and longtime activist of the Tlo'okweyat First Nation, is helping to preserve the identity and culture of his people through the tradition of canoe carving.
Canoe was one of the most important creations of the coastal peoples here because it gave us access to all the resources. The process of selecting a tree for a canoe was one of the most important steps. And that was because of the teachings of our people to be very respectful of all the creatures around here. I had to come here several times and sit here and just listen, to be really quiet. Make sure that there's no eagle nests around in any of the trees here. There'll be 5 canoes made out of this one tree.
For Saya Masso of the Tlo'okweyat First Nation, protecting the land is more than a job. It's a way of life, which dates back generations.
Protecting old-growth forest is about the survival of our culture. You're not going to see these 800-year-old trees again, really. You can see the trees that are just starting to make their way to the top of the mountain still. You can't build a dugout canoe, or you can't build a longhouse or totem poles or any of these other things from second growth. So it's critical to the survival of our identity and culture that we take these steps now.
Hello there, good morning.
Within the Clayoquot Sound area, recent initiatives such as the Guardian programs led by Ahousaht Nation are helping to continue Indigenous peoples' traditional stewardship of the land.
I wanted to be a coastal guardian because I really care about our land. We do marine patrols, make sure there's no illegal poaching or illegal fishing. The ocean, it's our livelihood.
The Nature Conservancy has been working to support the efforts of Indigenous communities to ensure the natural habitat of this temperate rainforest remains protected.
We're really helping to turn back the clock in terms of who manage and who control the lands and waters. We're not coming in from the outside with our idea about what the Indigenous people should do or the local communities could do. The important principle is that they have the authority and power to direct that management, and that can be things like sustainable forestry, sustainable fisheries, tourism, and other ecosystem services. What I'm excited about in the Emerald Edge program, and I think what separates it from a lot of conservation work around the world, is that we're really focused on community well-being, ensuring that the people that live here have the capacity, the access, and the ability to take care of their lands and waters forever.
We have these intergenerational responsibilities that are handed down. It's really important to bring back these traditional roles, to uphold these teachings that have been carried on.
When I'm out on the boat on the water, I feel connected to the ocean. Or when I'm out hiking the mountains, I feel like I'm part of everything. I love our oceans, the waters, our rivers, our mountains, and they need to be protected.
$7 billion on this planet, that's a lot could be. Shattering the systems of waste and greed. Can we make a humbler vision in the world societies? Base it on values of earth love philosophy. Vibe from tuning in to sensitivity.